Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Rancho and Stilettos Presents Cocktails and Conversations. I am so excited to introduce you to my guest for today, Jane Ubel Meyer. How are you, Jane?
Great, Marsha. I'm so excited to actually be with you again. I
I
love I love our time together. So,
Exactly. Well, I just want to share a little bit about your background. You
okay.
are formerly an actress, you've been in filmmaking.
No, I'm going to correct you now.
Okay, you're currently.
No, let me I'll do this. How's that?
Okay, good, good.
So, I'm a former TV producer.
Right.
Good Morning America, Wall Street Journal, Entertainment Tonight. I produced 3 movies.
Wonderful.
Uh, 8 years ago, I started a company called Bedside Reading, and we place books, audiobooks, ebooks, and physical books in front of luxury hotel guests, from the Conrad to the Waldorf Astoria to the Aquilina to the Pierre, everywhere
Which
from.
is how we met.
Exactly, and in
Yep.
the Hamptons. So my business is all about helping promote authors, finding them new fans, new audiences, and helping to promote them.
Wonderful. And you are an author yourself. You have a
Yes,
best-selling book that's out.
I do.
The
I
book
do,
is From
actually.
Wanting to Having It, a guide
Yep.
to manifesting everything. Talk to us
Yes.
about that.
So first of all, thank you so much for having me. I love you, and we're such good friends anyway. So we just have to say
This
that.
is this is easy convo, right?
Okay. So let me tell you what happened. This is kind of an interesting story. About 20 years ago, or 15, I don't remember what, let's say it was like 2008-ish. So almost 20 years ago.
Hmm.
I'm really bad at math, so don't hold me to that. Um, I um I got a call one day. So I'll abbreviate the story. But so one night I'm in my bedroom, can't sleep. There's a book by the side of my bed. As always, everybody needs to have a stack of books. And I picked up a book that I never read, and it was called Losing My Virginity by Richard Branson.
Okay.
And I love the book so much. I read it, took me 2 days to read it, and then all of a sudden, when I finished reading it, I said to at 4:30 in the morning, I woke up my husband. I said, honey, I love this book. I love this guy. I'm gonna have Richard Branson call me. Like, hello, like Richard Branson started Virgin Records, Virgin
Yep.
Airlines, Virgin
Yep.
America. He's a billionaire, he's a philanthropist. Like, why would he call me?
Right. Right.
So when I made that declaration, in my mind, I felt like he had already called me.
Yeah.
And so the very next day, somebody out of the blue called me and said, at the time I was doing celebrity gifting, and they wanted to put their product into a little VIP bag I was doing for Paul McCartney. And the woman had no money. And I said, don't worry, her products were beautiful. As people get to know me, I'm always here to help other people,
That is so true.
organic way.
Absolutely.
I'm always here to be kind to people. And the woman said to me, well, what can I do to help you since you're being so nice to me? And I joked and I said, oh, just have Richard Branson call me. And she said, that's not a problem. She used to work for him,
Oh my goodness.
out of the blue. The next day, somebody else called me. I hadn't spoken to her in years. And she goes, what are you doing? And I told her what I was working on. And she said, how can I help you? And I joked again. I said, just have Richard Branson call me. And she said, oh, my former boyfriend is like his finance guy.
I can't. Oh my God.
The third day comes around, and I call a friend of mine from London, and he said, how can I help you? And I, as a joke, I said, just have Richard Branson call me. And he goes, hold on. And he actually called Richard Branson's office, and apparently his friend was Richard Branson's godfather, and he knows all the people there. To make a long story short, very long story, it took about a year, but I did get a call from Richard Branson's people asking me to work with him, and I did
Wonderful.
twice.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So it wasn't really about Richard Branson. The idea was that I knew when I spoke the words, I want Richard Branson to call me. I knew and I felt intuitively in my body that it had already happened.
Absolutely.
And then I started dissecting everything, and I realized that I had a formula, which I've been using since I'm 14 years old, about how to manifest anything. So in my little book, it's only 35 pages long. It's a bestseller in 10 categories. From wanting to having it, I figured out the formula of how to manifest anything. So in dissecting the having Richard Branson call me and having other things happen in my life, I realized that step one was to figure out what you wanted.
Yeah,
Step
yeah.
two was to let go and pretend with such ferocity, and I call it NFN energy, which is non-freaking negotiable energy, that it had
Okay.
already happened.
Right, right.
So in my world, I feel like when you have this energetic feeling that it's non-freaking negotiable, and then you take other steps, which are in the book, anything can happen. It's magic and anything can happen. So, and I've been doing this intuitively since I'm 14, but it wasn't until later in life that I really realized that it's a real thing. I'm not alone. Everybody
Right.
manifests differently, but this is
Exactly.
my formula.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when we first started talking, and this is our second project to work together on. You basically asking me to crystallize what my goals are, what I wanted, and we shared those things. And
Yes.
as I go through every single day now, I go and refer back to that core goal, that core idea, that core thing that gets me motivated, and whatever else I'm doing needs to be somehow focused on manifesting that core goal that I have. And
Okay.
that's been
So,
a great challenge.
and I'm gonna dive a little deeper right now with you. So it's not just a goal.
Mm-hmm.
What it is, it's a feeling that you already have what it is that you quote unquote want.
Got it. Yes.
So
Yes.
if you feel that this is a true success, or it's like whatever yummy thing that you want to feel that you have, it's not really wanting, it's having.
Yes.
So
I
in Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, so when I started my book series, which I started it during COVID, and that feeling that I had was God has basically put the earth at a standstill. The reason and excuses that you've been using all these years is you didn't have the time, you didn't want to take the time. That feeling, that need to get the story out was there the whole time. And
Right.
basically, once COVID stopped things and gave me permission to focus on what I really needed and knew I needed to get out, it just kept coming. The stories have just kept coming.
So the way I look at that is that you put yourself in a place where you became an open portal
Yes.
for information, for creativity, for love, for whatever that is. And in your case, your focus was on creativity.
Right, right, right.
So, and I have to tell you something. Little negative voices always pop up everywhere, which is
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's not going to
it's true.
happen, or you're an idiot, or blah, 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 blah. And we have to respect those negative voices. And we have to say to those negative voices, thank you for sharing. Let's play it another time. And what that
Right.
really means is not ignoring them, but acknowledging that those negative voices are there and that you will play. Play means anything. It means dancing. It means shopping. It means eating. It means going on a swing. It means taking that little child inside of you, that little Marcia, little Janie, and say, okay, little Janie wants to play. That's why she's trying to grab my attention with negativity.
Yeah,
So I will play with that little Janie by being an artist. I will play by knitting. I'll play by reading. I'll play by going out for a beautiful walk and saying, and now I'm taking care of that little person inside of me.
yeah.
So there are a lot of little dimensions, like little shifts of little things that I do. And so I just want to share with you something that's on my mind. So on April 3rd, I'm launching a new program called the Bedside Reading Audiobook Collection.
Okay.
We're offering 25 audiobooks that I've curated, that I love, that have, like, some of them have freaking changed my life,
Right,
like awesome books.
right.
And we're opening it up and we're going out worldwide with it on April 3rd. And It's called the Bedside Reading Audiobook Collection. It's $25 for 25 audiobooks, and you get to listen to them for a year.
Okay.
That's insane.
Wonderful.
Nobody does that.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
But the best part about this is that there's a book that I read, I listened to, an audiobook called The Science of Women Getting Rich.
Mm.
And I want to tell you, and every single woman here, this is an audiobook that changed my life. And one of the things about this book that changed my life, besides it's a brilliant book, is that, like you just said, we can come up with all these excuses of not doing stuff, whatever, but this is a real practical neuroscience directed kind of idea or concept or program, I don't know what you want to call it, of how to, for women like us, to get rich.
Right.
And rich means a lot of different things to different people. And one of the things that has changed my life is there's an exercise where the author goes into 50, write down 50 ways to bring in money. 50 ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not 25, not 45, not 49, but 50.
Mm-hmm.
And she's really pushing you to do this. And when I started doing that, it unblocked so much stuff inside of me that writing it down, all of a sudden, it was so crystal clear to me that this is something I wish I had known about
Yeah.
20 years ago. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter about them. I'm not really talking about, it is about cash. It is about money. It is about the science of getting rich, but it's so much more about unblocking blocks. What are
Right.
the blocks that have stopped you in your life that you
Yeah.
don't even know about?
Well, and these are the mental chains that we all have, right? I know that as I started the whole process of writing, I was questioning myself. I was doubting myself. I'm like, who are you? You're not a writer, but I've always been a writer. The only difference is now I'm actually publishing those stories
You're
that
now
have.
actually writing.
Yes, they've been in my soul. They've been in my heart for all these years. And now I'm actually writing it down and
I
sharing
know.
those stories and communicating. And the thing about getting the story out is the conversations that ensue around those stories. When you
Yes.
find how many people were just waiting for that one story that they resonate with to be able to say, wait a minute, that sounds like me. I respond to that. I relate to that. That's been a huge piece of the journey, not just writing the story, but as a writer and an author, creating the relationships that go along with the story.
So what you're saying, if I can re-say this, is that your books are connecting to people that identify with your incredible stories.
Yes,
And as a
absolutely.
storyteller, because we're all storytellers, we all have a
Yep.
story.
Yep.
And I want to say something about that too, is that your stories are resonating in such a way that it's catapulting your name, which is your brand, which is what we always talk about,
Right.
to the world.
Right.
And I'm so proud of you that you had the guts to listen
Mm,
to your instincts, to ignore the little like, who am I? I'm not a writer, BS. But you also have, I'm so proud of you to be
mhm.
able to take direction from me and other people around you to be able to step into your power,
Right.
the
Right.
power as a writer.
And I appreciate our relationship because, there are times when people, it's like they're afraid to really tell me the hard truth. That is not your story, girlfriend.
Oh my God. I
No, in
was
fact, I've got to take a toast on that one. Okay,
okay,
that is
there you are.
not your
I'm drinking
story.
coffee today,
Mm,
but that's okay.
mm. No, ma'am. I
You know,
love how you just stripped everything down and said, okay, your stories are great. You're out there. Let's make it better. And
yep.
based on that, we made a lot of changes, some changes
Yes,
that
we
are
did.
coming. I'm not going to even talk about them. We're just going to drop it out there in the universe and people will see what's coming. But I'm super, super excited about the opportunities.
Oh,
Absolutely
me too.
thrilled.
I showed your new book cover to so many people. I said, here's a great example of what the author wanted, the before, and then how we can reimagine it to be bigger.
Right, right. And just having that feedback from someone who's been in the industry for so long and knows what will work, why would I not take that advice? It would, one of the things that I've also learned within just the last couple of months, family issues, health issues, friend health issues, all of these things, that I am a natural born caregiver. And what I've had to learn is I will gravitate to what gives me a big hug, and they actually end up being distractions. These,
That's good.
you know what I'm saying?
Yep, I
I
do.
learned that within the last couple of months. It's okay to be that lean on person, but not to the extent that those things that I need to do to move my projects forward, I don't allow them to become crutches that I'm just leaning in on.
That's a good, I love that. That's really interesting because I'm also a hugger. I also like to help people. And when I do, it can be a distraction
Yeah.
what I need to do
Yeah. And I
because it's
think for me,
comfortable. It's comforting.
identifying the word that it is, it's their distractions.
Good idea.
Especially if I'm putting my goals on hold to help you, then I'm allowing them to become distractions.
Good point. Very good point. It's interesting. It says interesting. I love it. I love that because I feel that I do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I help so many people, so many authors, but it does take away from, like, as I mentioned, I'm launching this program. So it's taking away from my goal, which is my launch. And ultimately, launching my program does help my authors, but it's a distraction, and I have to pay attention. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. That's a good thing to think about today.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
this has just really been within the last couple of months that I was feeling so overwhelmed. And it wasn't that, it's the same 24/7 that everybody has, right? And it was that I was giving projects, you know, um, time and energy intentionally, and not realizing that they were distracting me away from hitting those targeted deadlines, and that therefore now I'm panicking trying to meet my own deadlines, right?
Right,
So I had to
because you didn't, because
pull
you,
it all
it
back.
wasn't, I don't want to say wasted time, but distracted time.
Exactly. But as you can see, once I make up my mind that, okay, I'm on deadline, I've got to get this, turned in, I'm on it. I'm on it. And I just redirected my focus basically.
Right. Well, it's funny. I want to tell you something. We have a magazine coming out called Resident. It'll be
Yes.
out the end of, I can't remember if it's the end of April. I think the end of April, beginning of May. I'm not really, I think it's the end of April. And I put your book in the magazine with a, little blurb about the book. And I
Mm.
was looking at all of the book covers that, because we had like 10 books that we recommend every month, or between 8 and 10 books. And I looked at your book cover and it just so pops.
I know. It's so
And it's
good.
so
So
delicious.
good. It's so good.
It's delicious.
Yes, yes. And I think that the whole new feel and vibe, it's light. It's light. It
You know
makes you,
what it is? You know
yeah,
what it is? Should I tell you what really it is?
sure.
You're stepping up into the big, what the HarperCollins and the Random Houses and the Hachette and all those people, you're stepping up into their playing field.
Right, right. I love that. You know,
You
I
really are.
I heard a message from you a few weeks ago. You asked me the question, why is your name so small on the books? And at that point, I was, thinking, well, what answer can I give her, right? But I decided intentionally, I'm just going to tell the truth. And that was, on some level, I think I was asking permission to be a writer. Like, nobody knows me. Why would they want to read my story? And your feedback was, this is your brand. This is who you are. People are going to want to read the stories because of the brand that you have out there. And we just
Right.
completely made a change with that. And I love it. I love the direction that we're going in.
And I'll tell you something interesting, you're in marketing, you're in media, you are already know this, but and we
Right.
all know this, but when it comes to ourselves,
Oh, it's so much different.
it's hard because our
Yes.
ego, little Marcia, little Janie is saying, "Oh, we don't deserve this." So we have to step into that power.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I'm going to tell you, so not that I want to harp on this, but we're working with a very big agency right now to launch our program. And the agency said to me, very big, we're talking a lot of money here. And
Mhm.
they work with the biggest brands in the world, from Best Buy to Walgreens to JetBlue to whatever, biggest brands, right? And the guy said to me, the advertising guy said to me, we're making you, it's your curated list. So he said, Jane, you have to be the face of this. And I went, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I
Little
know.
me? And he goes, no, it's not little me, it's big me.
Right.
So
Right.
not, and I have to step into that power. And I have to tell you something interesting. At this stage in my life, at this
Mhm.
age, I'm in my 60s.
Right.
I
Right.
can't not do that. I have to own it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm owning it now.
I love that.
So if I'm owning the fact that I'm in my 60s and I'm fine with that. And I'm owning the fact that I have, what's the word? The word is, you know what? It's not that I deserve this, but I've earned it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so when women are listening and writers are listening, you have earned the right to put
Absolutely.
your name big. You have
Yes.
earned the right, earned it.
And I love that, I'm uncomfortable every single day. Every single day. And I read something recently that said, become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And now, if I'm not uncomfortable, I'm almost looking for that thing that'll shake things up and make me not feel zombied out?
Yep. So be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. So,
So I think, hold on, let's
uh-huh,
stop for a minute.
uh-huh.
You need to write a blog about that. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable and how you're stepping into your name.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But think about what you always do. Every time you write Marsha Williams Cromer, you have Williams all caps. Now let's make everything all caps.
Okay. All right.
Let's
I,
make
I
everything all
received
caps.
that.
Let's step into it.
I received that. My final question to you as a writer and a best-selling author is, when you decided to write this book, we know the history of it. We know since you were 14 that this is
Yep.
kind of, your power, the way you saw the world. First of all, what made you decide to actually put it down on paper? Was it just something you wanted, you thought it was
I'll tell you a funny story.
okay?
In the back of my mind, okay, let's erase that. In 1980,
Mhm.
I went to a psychic
Okay.
and she said, you're going to be a famous writer. She said, you're also going to marry a man with the name of M, and he's going to be divorced with 2 sons. So of course I married a guy named Rick Meyer.
I know.
So I
Yeah.
tried every guy I dated, Michael, Mitch, whatever. I looked, oh, maybe that's the guy, but it was Meyer. And he was divorced with 2 sons. I did marry him. And when I've always thought about this, and she goes, you're going to be a famous writer and writer. And because I have bedside reading, I work with writers. I figured that's really, it's not about me being a writer. It was about that I work with writers.
Right.
So in the back of my mind, I had that 1980. Then I guess about 10 or 15 years ago, I wrote the little story about Richard Branson because I wanted to encapsulate it, and I put it in my computer. Then I recently, I'm working, publishing other people's works, um, which I actually am more of a consultant with as a publisher with, I have a friend that actually is a publisher and I help him and whatever but I'm taking a course in publishing. And one of the exercises was to write a book in 7 days and publish it.
Oh, wow.
So I went, oh, I have something in my computer. I dragged it out and I dictated most of it. It's
Oh
only
my
35
goodness.
pages
Oh my
because
goodness.
I dictated it. I went into Canva, I created the cover, And a friend of mine who is a professional book cover designer, she tweaked it a little bit and she helped format it and put it together. And then I went into Amazon and I clicked on it and I went to KDP and I just published it. But before I published it, like the night before, I sent out 87, I love this, emails to people that know me. And
Right.
I said, I'm publishing a book. It's at the time it was $1.99. Now it's 99 cents. I said, it's $1.99 or $6.99. It's only 35 pages. Can you help me and buy this? Well, what happens is that I did it in a window of time and it triggered the algorithms on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
And I ended up actually selling like 500 copies.
Nice. Nice.
And I ended up actually, it's probably more than 500 at this time. But so what happened was that by doing what I did, when it actually went live, it triggered all these pre-sales to sales, and it became number one in actually 10 in for 10 days in like 5 categories. It was crazy. And so I did the publishing because of a class I'm taking,
Okay.
publishing. Because
Nice.
because I'm a big believer in education. I'm a big believer in learning as much as you can about whatever business you're in. People know more
Right.
than I do. So that's why I published the book.
I love it. I
And
love
it
it.
wasn't really to make money and it wasn't
Right.
to be an author, but it just turns out that way. And now for the rest of my life, I'm a #1 best-selling author on Amazon for the rest of my life. So that's really exciting.
I love that for you. And you are such a great teacher, such a great supporter of all of us authors. I am
Thank you.
so glad that our paths crossed, and I'm looking forward to seeing where we go from here. I thank you
Me
so,
too.
so much. I want to cheer out.
Cheers.
Thank
Cheers
you so
again.
much. I appreciate you, Jane.
Well, Marsha, first of all, I love you. And I want to tell you something. Do you know that almost every Saturday morning I reach out to you?
I've noticed that. We're in a zone now.
I know, but I don't call any of my other clients or authors or anything.
Oh,
I just think about you on Saturday mornings. And I went, if I'm going to think about you, I'm just going to call you, touch base, see what's going on. So I just feel like we're very connected.
that makes me feel so good. And thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching the show. And please don't forget to subscribe and like. And remember, we may not always get the happy ending, but we make our endings happy.